Hey, all, what's up? Vandal here, back with Sinkas all the way from Greece. Am I right?
Yep. Hey everyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us here. This is season 2 of the Pop-Up, and we're into the third quarter of season 2. And Sinkas is our wearables designer who we're featuring this quarter for the month of October. And we're really excited to have a chat with him and find out more about what he's been doing and, who he is and all that kind of stuff. So I guess what I'll do is we'll start by letting you introduce yourself to the people, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff.
Absolutely, sounds good. And thanks for featuring me. Yeah, so I'm Sinkas, as you said. I come from Greece. I'm 23 years old now, and I got into wearable designing some months ago. I think it hasn't even been a year that I've been doing that. I saw people working on their own cool stuff. I think it was No Shot, the first that I saw with his VX1s, like the dope kickers, the sneakers that he made, and I just downloaded Magic Voxel and just started playing around with it. And I saw, hey, that's a bit easy. I mean, I used to play Minecraft back in the day, mostly building for servers. So, I wasn't actively playing the game, but rather building for other people and
Mm-hmm.
earning a buck on the side, while I was in school. So I had the experience with putting blocks in the right order to represent something like a house, or even like we used to do those pixel arts in Minecraft, where we'd make a massive, like say a picture. I remember I have done a picture of Genie from the Aladdin
Mm-hmm.
and the animated version. And yeah, I had that experience, and I thought it's something very similar, very close to that. And it was on the rise. I mean, now everyone's basically making wearables, and they've got a nice market, a big market. But back in the day, it wasn't so often, and you could easily get your stuff out there, and people would buy them because the supply wasn't that great. So yeah, I started off. I made a tweet about like, hey, I'm making wearables. I started off making wearables. If anyone wants me to make something, just hit me up and let me know, and I'll just make it for free. So I wanted to get experience and see and
Mm-hmm.
get my stuff out there. So people started asking me for different little things, and I started doing them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how basically how it started. So yeah, and now I've been working on my t-shirt project, which is basically really quickly, it's a project meant to create 100 unique, so 1 out of 1 t-shirts, using the same template but just changing the designs.
Mm-hmm.
And in the context of that, I've made a lot of designs on my own, but in the context of that, I decided to collaborate with some artists from the space. We featured, I believe, 6 artists in the first drop, and now I've got about 35 or 40 in the
Wow.
pipeline for the next drops. And I'm gonna just spread them around in the next three more drops.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really exciting stuff going forward. Um, I do wait for Cryptovoxels, as we said earlier, to get resume minting and
Mm-hmm.
all that. But in the meanwhile, I'm just working on that in the back end.
That's nice. And I think that I first discovered you through Crypto Wieners, if I'm not mistaken. That was kind of the first event that I got involved in
Mhm.
Cryptovoxels. And I think were you doing stuff with them?
Um, Not too much. I mean, I think I talked with Nisla about getting my stuff on. He has this wearable tower. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's him, and he had a tweet out that was asking people to get to contact him basically so they can get their stuff on the wearable tower, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just a tower filled with little displays that people could showcase their wearables and get their names out there. So I reached out and I asked him, hey, can I also showcase my stuff? And he was nice about it, and I got my the MC jacket, the motorcycle club jacket, and the helmet, and I put it on the tower.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they're still there. So yeah, that's how I got there.
I remember also I think it was you who did the microphone as well. Was that
Yeah,
you who did the
that's
mic
for
for
guerrilla music. You mean the
yeah, and
band? Yeah.
I think I also got a mic from you before that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
had reached out when I put
yeah,
the tweet out, and you said a
yeah.
microphone, and I was just like, yeah, I'm making a microphone then.
Awesome.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
I also did stuff like for the Crypto Motors team, the which are now like the Voxel Architects. I'm sure
Yeah.
you know that those dope builds. I mean, they're so talented.
Yeah.
But when I asked them, like, you're making amazing Vox builds and amazing Vox designs and all that, why don't you make your own clothes? And say, well, architecture is one thing, but then, kind of quote unquote fashion design when making clothes is another. And I
Yeah.
said, we don't do that well there. So yeah, I made them like a construction jacket and a helmet since they're building all the time.
You're a bit low on the mic there. I think maybe you moved away a bit. So,
Yeah, it
um,
might be the internet. But let me check.
okay. All right. No
Yeah.
worries. So yeah, we were talking earlier before we started recording about the situation with Cryptovoxels and the wearables and the minting. Um, Hopefully, this is something that, like, because it's kind of happened right in the middle of the pop up, and you know, as much as things happen in the space, you got to go with the flow. It kind of put a dent in our wearables exposition
Mhm.
for season two. So I don't know, like you mentioned that you had spoken with one of the team from Cryptovoxels. Maybe you can share a bit of insight on what's happening with the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I know, and I'm not like 100% sure that's the exact case, but what I know and what I've heard is that basically back when the craze with all the gas fees was happening, we had a pause on that because it was getting really expensive to mint
Hmm.
stuff, and then apart from that, also the process that handles the minting in their backend, like the admin panel, I'm not sure how it works. It was also broken. So I think it's Trislet who does the minting, and he basically couldn't mint. And on top of all that, like Ben decided, I think, to move like the whole minting process on XDAI. And so in order now the gas fees are down, but they still need to fix the wearables minder. And then they say, hey, if we were going to work on that as well, we might just as well work on getting it on XDAI. So even if
Yeah.
gas prices fluctuate in the future, we don't have to worry about it. So yeah, basically, and it's a really Cryptovoxels thing that it's developed in a bit anarchist style. I mean, they're jumping from different things, which I remember I've seen that conversation in the past. I'm not sure if it was sent or Twitter, but they were saying about how Cryptovoxels is not your typical developing studio, if you will. Like they're not focused on making one thing and then going to another. They just jump on, hey, we're making islands now,
Hmm.
or hey, we're baking the world, and just complete randomness, but that's the awesome style of it. And it was nice to see responsiveness from the team, both in terms of communication, like they're always active, they're always answering stuff on Discord, on Twitter, and everywhere. And I
Hmm.
remember back when Matthew and Rizzle from Sen were doing the whip meetup, they had this issue with in-game audio, and Ben just developed the boom
Yeah, the
boxes.
boombox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and to me it's like, he developed that for them and for that event. And also, of course, because it's, a nice use to have in world.
Hmm.
But yeah, to me it seemed like he responded to a need of the players, which was awesome.
Yeah. I kind of enjoy the way Cryptovoxels has evolved in that, like, sort of unpredictable, kind of meeting the needs of the users as much as
Hmm.
possible in certain areas. And I recognize also they're a relatively small team, and they're doing things independently.
Hmm.
So I guess, like, aside from Cryptovoxels, are you doing wearables anywhere else, like maybe Decentraland or Somnium?
Yeah, so Somnium, I hadn't had any like I haven't even jumped in Word on Somnium. And on Decentraland, I know that it's not the same process. Like they're not using Vox wearables, and even if they were, they have those things like called licenses, where in order to
Hmm.
be able to make and sell Decentraland wearables, you have to have one of those licenses. But they're basically voted on through the Decentraland DAO or something like. It's a bit
Uh-huh.
more complicated. It's not like an open marketplace.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's not my cup of tea really. I've been thinking, and I actually want to get in, but I'm just short of time these days. In Sandbox, and
Okay.
start developing assets there.
Yeah.
I had that crazy idea, and maybe people that are listening now would like to join in, of creating basically a team and creating an open source project where we source different Vox assets. Like say we make 10 different designs of a table, a lamp, and all that. Because when you're building, you do want to have those things, but getting the closing Cryptovoxels, opening Magic Voxel, creating the asset, jumping in the world again, dropping it, seeing how it looks, editing. It's all just too much time. So instead
Mm,
of doing that, my idea was to create like a Sims experience where basically you have the house, like the Cryptovoxels, and you can select from the furniture. And they have a few, and you can select which fits best. And so basically, develop those assets, those models with
yeah,
a couple of artists in the space, and make them open source. Anyone can use them and put them in their builds and make it beautiful. I mean,
like IKEA, kind of.
yeah, some sort that sort of stuff. Like we make 10 tables, we put them online, and anyone can select what they like and download it and use it on
Uh-huh.
their plot.
Have you had a chance to play around with their creation tools? Because I think they recently have started pushing out like all the tools to
The
build the
gameplay,
games.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I hadn't had that chance. I do have some plots, like about 6 or something, or 5,
Hmm.
but I haven't had the chance to get into. I think it's in like in private mode. You have to apply or to reach out directly to them, or they reach out to you or something like that.
Hmm.
So, and being having limited time doesn't really allow to try to explore that adventure further, but I do
Yeah.
really do want to. And I figure around Christmas I'll start having some more time and being more organized there.
Are you doing other things aside from wearables and that kind of stuff that you can talk about?
I'm helping a little bit in the space. I'm helping try roll a bit with social money and all that stuff. Mostly that, to be honest. But I, yeah, mostly that, and a bit around the whole area. I mean, if Matthew from like the Sand Crew and the Whip Crew need anything, like I've done some wearables for them and some ideas sometimes. I used to do some more writing on Sand, but now I've kind of fallen down there,
Hmm.
fallen back, because with back in the day, I used to just have that energy to write, because I wasn't doing so much in the space, but I used to write about the space a lot. Now
Yeah.
I'm doing so much about the space that at the end of the day, I don't have the energy to write about it.
Hmm.
But I do want to get back to it as well. And yeah, I'm also involved with Meta Factory,
Okay.
which is another great thing I'm doing, and I really love what those guys are building, and they're really awesome. And what I'm doing for them is basically, again, mostly wearable designs, um but some other stuff as well, mostly like coming up with different ideas and helping wherever I can.
Hmm. Where do you see yourself in the future in the space? Like, do you have any particular goals that you can share, or any vision of what you would like to be doing, sort of like full time?
Yeah, interesting question. I do know that I want to get involved 100% and full time with the space, and hopefully being able to do that completely digitally, like not having to go to an office, and being able to, like, for example, travel and work from my laptop. Uh, but I can't say for certain what I want to do. Like, for example, what I'm doing at Roll and helping out is it's really awesome, and appreciate. But I can't know if I'll be there. I definitely want to be there. I mean, it's in the space. They're doing something amazing with social money, and it's a huge thing
Hmm.
for everyone that gets it. So yeah, I do hope that only to continue there.
Nice. And so, just a question in terms of, like, what I realized talking to people in the space is that sometimes we're like so into it that we don't
Mhm.
realize, in a way, like we're all in this little bubble, and it's so very niche that a lot of people out there around the world have no clue
Mhm.
what's actually happening. Do you have like conversations with your friends outside the space, and like talk to them about it, and like what kind of
Ah.
what's the reaction? How do people react to it?
You can't imagine like the weird looks I get when I say, yeah, I make blocky clothes for avatars in a virtual reality space that some people, like about 100 people, use at the same time. And I say, what are you doing with your life? But I mean, it makes you wonder at the same time, is it just a niche and we're in the bubble, or are we just too early? And when people start getting it, by the time they get it, everyone's gonna be like a rock star in the space.
Hmm.
And I mean, I see it from different people. back in the day we had like Send. I'm sure you know Send. Like I think I've seen you there.
Hmm.
So yeah, back in the day when I first joined, about early 2019 or something like that. Um, which is crazy because it was like 2 years ago. It's not a big, like a huge amount of time.
Hmm.
Um, you used to feel the place like a small community, almost like a family. Like I would write a post, and then the comments underneath were people that I have heard of again. Like the handles were familiar, and what I've been discussing with Matthew as well from there is that everyone that was involved and very active back then is now doing amazing things now. I mean, like Skinny is a great example as an artist. I mean, he's huge in the space right now. X
Hmm.
Copy is another artist. Connie,
Hmm.
Mad Lad. I mean, all those people that were very early back in Send, and we created this community around crypto, are now doing something within the space and are very well known in the space.
Hmm.
So I can see that happening at a grander scale with all this community that we're building. And when crypto or blockchain and all that goes huge and mainstream, then we're gonna be in the same spot that those guys were a year or two ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I was. This is like a common thread in conversations that I've had with people because, like a lot of us are so heavily into the scene that sometimes, when we get out there in the real world and we talk to people about it, a lot of people just like don't have a clue.
Hmm.
And I come from the traditional music industry side, and I'm sharing these opportunities with artists that I know, like whether it's around audio NFTs or doing performances inside Cryptovoxels and having the pop up and stuff. And some of them are like, oh, that's cool. And other people are like, huh, what's this? I don't get it.
Yeah, like two types of people.
Yes, but I think gradually, as time goes on, I've seen, like, as I get, there's more exposure um, around the whole space, like even NFTs in general within the blockchain world. Nobody was really talking about them until like maybe a month ago,
Hmm.
really. In
Yeah.
in the mainstream space, because I've been in the blockchain space when I was living in Malaysia
Hmm.
since about mid 2017. And when I discovered the NFT stuff and when we started DAOrecords, I'd be sharing with people, and they didn't seem really interested at all until now.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, for me, that I never got that because when I started learning about crypto and all that, and I started getting involved more and more, the NFTs was one of the first thing that I came across, and
Hmm.
I don't know why, but it immediately clicked on my mind. Like some people know that, hey, yeah, it's an NFT, but you can still like right click and save as and get the picture. I mean, why do you need to buy it? And I got that the fact that you're basically buying and owning, you get ownership of the thing you're buying immediately, like right off the bat. So it made a ton of sense, and I mean it's verifiable. You can look it up, through the blockchain and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great that this technology allows us to do that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, and NFTs are awesome.
So what do you think, like in your opinion, or like whatever crazy picture you have of the future of NFTs, like what's in your mind when it comes to, NFTs a year from now or something?
Yeah, well, and a crazy idea that I had, and we actually explored with Meta Factory, is basically having NFTs represent basically rights. I mean, rights of ownership, for example. But instead of just being completely digital, have it represent rights of physical items as well. Like imagine in the future, like we're far from that, but imagine in the future being able to buy a house through the blockchain and
Hmm.
having the NFT certificate means owning the house, and you don't have to have like papers and a notary and all that. It's just done through the blockchain.
Yeah.
And at a smaller scale, what we try to do with Meta Factory, and it was something that initially came from me, and I then talked it through with Drew from Meta Factory. And basically the concept is as follows: you buy an NFT online through like OpenSea, and then if you hold that NFT, Meta Factory produces yeah, I have to mention that so you get the idea.
Yeah.
Manufacturer, what they do, and the great thing about that is that they do what they dove digiphysical goods, which is
Hmm.
basically you buy say a jacket, and you get the physical items so that you can wear it in your life and outside and everything, but you also get a digital one, which at this point is like a Cryptovoxels wearable, and then in the future we also plan to expand on different metaverses as well.
Hmm.
So imagine being able to buy the digital, like the wearable itself, or an NFT, and then for every physical item sold, like say I hold the digital, the NFT of the jacket I mentioned earlier, then
Hmm.
for every jacket that is sold, the, the the collector that holds the NFT gets the majority of the profits, like gets the lion's share, and then manufacturers just get a portion for being the handling the production,
Yeah.
distribution, all that. But yeah, basically you own the copyrights of that design, so whenever it's sold you get a portion.
Yeah, and then you also in the physical items they're putting the RFID chip in there.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
it also? Yeah,
yeah,
which I think is
basic.
pretty cool because then it really defines how that's linked to the NFT which the owner holds, and then
Yeah,
you
and through
have
that
that.
chip you can put like a ton of information on the jacket. Like you can purchase a jacket and know exactly which number jacket it was. Like that's the like the second jacket that we produce or something like.
You
You
can
can put
load up
a
your
ton of stuff.
jacket with crypto and use it to pay for things.
Yeah, I mean, how awesome it would be to go at like to get a coffee and then just
Yeah,
swipe
yeah,
your sleeve
yeah,
on a
exactly.
machine and
Yeah.
yeah, it's paid.
So that's what
Very
I was imagining also in the future with with the so like wearables, NFTs, and physical items. And then when you have 5G and IoT come into play,
hmm
you'll even have these items talking to each other in a way,
yeah.
which I think is very interesting. And and I guess with AI, maybe like it will just take over everything. Your jacket will tell you what to do. It'll like move your arms for you. I don't know.
Yeah, but I
But
mean, I feel like there are so many innovations happening, and just every day someone just takes one or two of those innovations and blends them together and creates something completely new.
mhm.
And that's the great thing about it. I feel like we haven't seen anything yet, and the good
Yeah.
are yet to come. Like a similar example is what happened with DeFi recently in farming. I mean, people
Mhm.
started producing different protocols and all that just by blending different things from other protocols that they've seen work. So you had a bunch spring up out of nowhere that were just basically mix and matching different elements from different other protocols or coins or tokens or whatever.
Yeah, and we see that moving into the NFT space as well with it's I think the DeFi and the NFTs, the
hmm
combination actually is a I think way more powerful and more sustainable than
Yeah,
the traditional DeFi models with the yield farming and staking. Um,
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like people got so into DeFi because there was money involved,
mhm.
and but with time it will that will also leak into NFTs and all that without necessarily having to involve money. I mean,
It is
just
already now.
yeah, it is already,
Yeah,
but I mean, it doesn't have to. I mean, just progressing the technology and the
yeah.
space around that is a huge win.
Hmm. Yeah, because it brings more attention to the space,
Yeah.
and then more people will start to look at, oh, well, these are other things we can do. This is cool
Mhm.
project. That's a cool project, and then, yeah, there can be more success around projects because I guess they're in demand.
Yeah, I mean, you do want like vision and making it mainstream basically, and that's what I personally I value being able to bring some more attention to the space more than earning a couple of extra bucks. I mean,
Hmm.
that's why I also wanted to do that thing with Fox assets like being open source and people can just use them, because
Yeah.
if you jump in Cryptovoxels and you see a bunch of blank walls, you might say, hey, that's not like a great thing. Okay, it's all right, you can put pictures and make a gallery, but it's not great. But if you jump in Cryptovoxels and every plot is like a build made by crypto architects, like at that quality, then it will really keep you there and keep you
Hmm.
entertained and say, hey, that's actually a really nice thing and I want to explore more of it and tell my friends about it.
Is there some sort of like maybe it's too early, but I'm like imagining the possibilities of like a wearables school or like something where there's courses that, you know, people who are designers and doing three-dimensional stuff
Hmm.
can take a course, or, you know, learn with a community on how to create voxels, how to create, you know, wearables, or all these voxel projects to assist. Because what I realize is, as there aren't a lot of people doing it, and
Hmm.
they're in high demand.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see, like, I guess, an opportunity open up, especially for younger people. I think people who have
Mhm.
that experience, like with Minecraft, like for example, my girlfriend's daughter, she's 10, right?
Yeah.
And she's like heavy into Minecraft, and I showed her Cryptovoxels, and I showed her Magic of Voxels, and then she started like making animals and stuff in there. And you know, I think it suits that generation,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know.
definitely. Yeah, and I definitely see that as an option. But to me, like if you give Magic of Voxels to your girlfriend's daughter and have her play with it, at the end of the day, she'll start making awesome stuff because it's really simple, right? You can't get wrong with simplicity. I mean, it's 32 by 32 by 32, the wearable specifically.
Hmm.
So since there's not a lot of room to make a lot of stuff and be very detailed, it all comes down to imagination and just a little trial and error. If anyone that's listening this wants to get into wearables and doesn't know how to start and all that, uh, make sure like to hit me up on Twitter or anywhere they can find me.
Check
Um,
the link below.
and I can walk them through the process. But after that, I mean, after they set Magic Voxel and they know how to put a block down or how to delete that, it's basically very easily to get into making stuff and making wearables. You just have to place the blocks around, see what comes out nice, what doesn't, and just work from there. It's a very trial and error process.
Hmm.
I mean, I,
Yeah.
I remember the first stuff I made was was junk.
Yeah, I've tried my hand at it a couple of times. I did some sandals and a hat,
Yeah,
you know, just messing around,
yeah, but it was
trying to
easy,
see.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, to a degree. I mean, you know, you have to kind of think in three dimensions, right? So, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm not really an artist in terms of visual, like drawing or pictures and that kind of thing, but
Yeah, no,
um,
I'm not I'm not into that either. But I mean, Magic Voxels for me is like very easy compared to like drawing, for example.
mhm,
But yeah, you do have to think through like some of the more complex stuff I did was for Meta Factory. What I did was basically get a design, a picture, turn that
mhm,
into pixel art, and put it on a hoodie. But
mhm,
since the hoodie couldn't fit the design, like if I made the whole hoodie being 32 by 32 by 32, you couldn't fill basically anything because the sleeves and all that take space.
yeah,
So my workaround around that was to break it into pieces. So instead of having like a torso with the sleeves and all that complete, you put one part for the torso, then one part for the sleeves and all that, and
uh-huh,
you just attach it when you config together. That took some thinking through and how to go about it.
uh-huh,
But in the end, you just it's what I said. You just play around it. You do a little bit of trial and error, and eventually you get it right.
yeah. And the cool thing also is that, like, you know, my experience playing around with the wearables is that, you know, you put them on yourself and you can size them accordingly. Like, there isn't
Yeah,
like, any restrictions with that. You can, you know, make them
yeah,
bigger, you can stretch them, you know, and sometimes
and
you
and
have to
that's
do that.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, for the Genesis bomber of Meta Factory, we wanted to have Meta Factory written on the sleeve.
Hmm.
But to do that, you had to go big on the sleeve. I mean, if you put down the sleeve of Meta Factory next to the torso, it's basically the same size
Hmm.
as like the box itself. But when you put it on the avatar, you just shrink it down, and it's like you've written on the actual sleeve, and it's the appropriate size. And it's awesome because I had like a person had asked me like, how did you get letters on there? I mean, well, you just have to be smart about it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I guess that comes with experimenting
Mhm.
and playing around and experience.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. I guess we're good for time here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or any shout outs that you want to give?
There are a ton of names to shout out. I don't really have anything to add, I think, but
Okay. Yeah, go for
uh,
it.
yeah, the ton of name like Matthew and Rizzle from the Whip meetup. The Crypto Woman recently, she did something that I had like in mind to do for so long, the fashion show on Cryptovoxels.
Yeah.
And like when I saw it and when I went through it, like I actually participated as well. But I mean, she organized it to a point that I didn't think I would ever be able to. So shout out to her, amazing
Hmm.
work, and I really hope that we could see stuff like that happening again. Shout out to Matter Factory, Drew, Hamad, and all those guys, and Tryroll as well, since we mentioned them.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, if I get down the rabbit hole of shouting out guys, I'm bound to forget someone and get like a DM like, why did you mention me? Do you have anything with me? So yeah, I mean, people that are listening to this and wanted to hear me probably know that I'm supposed to give them a shout out. So yeah.
So
uh,
shout out to them. They know who
yeah,
they
shout out
are.
to them. Yeah, exactly. You said it better.
Cool.
So yeah, and thank you for featuring me. Shout out to DAOrecords in the season
Yeah,
two.
thank you. I'm looking forward to the designs that you're coming up with, and you know, we're gonna have them up in the venue for sure as soon as we get them,
Hmm.
box files, and place them
Yeah,
in the
I
little
have to get to
gallery
work.
up there. And thank you for your time, and
Hmm.
appreciate what you're doing in this space. And yeah,
Awesome.
okay,
All right.
all
Well,
right, Sinkas.
mhm,
All right, you take care and have a great day, and
absolutely.
I'll see you in World.
Sounds good, man.
Okay,
Have a great
all
day.
right, take
Take
care.
care.
Peace.